You are listening to the Mark Guzman Podcast Experience. Welcome to the first episode of Real Realtors, where we talk about everything under the sun about real estate with real estate industry professionals. My guests today are Kinsey III, the CEO of Support RE, and Ronald Garcia, realtor with Security Pacific Real Estate. We discuss a recent East Bay Times article about the current housing market, and we also discuss how audio and video is the future of marketing. Okay. So let's just go ahead and start it.
Let's do it.
This is the first episode of Real Realtors. It's going to be video format and audio format on my podcast. And so the guests here, just to let everyone know, we have Kinsey III, CEO of Support RE. And we also have Ronald Garcia, who works with me on a team. And together we do home sales. Yeah, cups are perfect. And then we've got
fancy.
Our videographer, producer, Robert Andre, and we have Sam Lubman here, and actually getting some wine poured. Do you bring some extra cups?
I want to make sure we have enough wine for everyone. Is this it's a new bottle here?
This one is a new bottle, so it's a little bit different wine than what you tried.
Okay.
Now, you came for the recording last week.
Yep, last Friday.
Just aired yesterday, the episode.
Yep.
Pour a little bit more.
I got sidetracked watching that for an hour, or listening to it. You try to work, and you're listening to it, and you're like, oh, I can work on this. Could work on that.
Yeah, perfect. So the whole point of this podcast, of this episode of Real Realtors, is really for me to sit down and just discuss real estate with people within the actual industry. So it's a little bit different than what I'm doing on my podcast, where I sit down one-on-one and interview people, their backstory, what they do. And this will literally just be about real estate talk. So hopefully a lot of the real estate people out there will get some value. And I think today's episode is going to bring a lot of value. So I've got some topics here. I want to just jump right into it.
Awesome.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some current trends and then talk a little bit of marketing a little bit later in the show. So let's just get right into it. So there's an East Bay article that just came out. In fact, when did the article come out, Sam? Yesterday. Okay. Talking about the difficulty of housing here in California and the housing crisis. And they obviously talk about how hard it is to buy a home in California. So I want to get your guys' opinion on why is it so tough to buy.
Well, basically, I would say the competition. There are, for every single listing that comes into the any market in the Bay Area, or whether you are east or west of San Francisco, you're going to have 10 or 15 buyers for every home that comes for sale. That's why it's so tough.
Which I actually think it's kind of good in a way as well, because in that way, because I was speaking to a couple of realtors a couple weeks ago, and she was saying how she was selected out of 15 offers because the way that she went about to basically go and facilitate putting in the offer, reaching out to the actual agent and connecting with that agent to kind of, I wouldn't say schmooze, but sure, to kind of get that agent to look at her offer a little more seriously. And then she said that she had to come back. I think she went 15 or 20,000 below what the highest offer was, and then she came back and countered, and then everything worked out. Her offer got accepted.
Another thing to consider, I think it's not the higher number. I think we concentrate more on terms, and to solidify that offer, we want to make sure that the offer that comes in, it's going to close. Otherwise, you take an offer that's going to be the highest price, but you're going to waste 30 to 45 days of everybody's time.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
Okay, now the homeownership rate right now in California is 54.6. The trend is that it's dropping. It used to be in the 60s. And they predict, and I believe they predict this in the next 5 to 8 years, that California is going to be mainly a tenant-occupied state.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's causing, why is it so hard? And I know you guys, just spoke on that, but what do you think of the financing world? How difficult it is to get a loan?
You wanna?
Good question. I think just the process to get a loan, it's extremely difficult because you have to literally provide and make sure that the buyers that are trying to get a home now are definitely able to purchase that home. So they go through a process that they they get pre-approved before they go out there and try to get a house. So it is not like it used to be back in 2005 and 6 that it was stated income and that's it. Now, all kinds of documents need to be provided in order to be pre-qualified.
Yeah, I think education is a big part of it as well. These individuals need to be educated based upon the fact of, how much do they need to have down? How do they need to save? How do they need to manage to make sure that their credit and FICO score is going to be at a level where they can actually be qualified to be able to purchase a home? I think that, the educated individuals in the marketplace are starting to buy up a lot of properties like corporate America, where there's a shift in the marketplace where the uneducated individuals aren't having the ability to put emphasis on being able to buy because they don't have the education. So if they don't have the education, their parents never bought or they bought late or whatever, what have you, how are you going to be able to potentially buy a home? And that goes to, say, for instance, even starting your own business. I meet so many small business owners, which are realtors, that don't have a marketing budget.
Thank you for listening to this podcast short. For more podcast content, be sure to subscribe to all of our podcast channels on YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Libsyn, Castbox, Podbean, and literally anywhere else you listen to podcasts.